I think the way, there's a tendency, and boy, I feel this myself, is that that protection is defined primarily in terms of isolation.
Yeah.
So if I can just get my kids out, you know what I mean? I'll surround them, or cover them, and then I'm in control, right? I'm in control. This seems safe. I can process that, but that's actually not what Christ called us to. In fact, I mean, there is an element as parents where we do isolate to some degree, absolutely, because of the age that our kids are at, their developmental stages, and their ability to be aware and process and think. We need to protect them as we journey through appropriate developmental stages of our children, right? But Christ called us actually not out of the world, but into the world, very clearly when he prayed for his disciples. And it's interesting what he said is that God would be with us in the world, and that he would actually, sanctify us by his truth, right? Make us holy, continue to keep us separate while in the world through his truth. So when I'm working with my kids, I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they're engaged, right? They're in the public school system right now. We've homeschooled. I'm a youth pastor. Now they're in the public school. From a very young age, I think by God's grace, age appropriately, we've really been trying to teach discernment. So you can protect by isolation, or you can protect by teaching discernment. And so when our kids come across a message, so for instance, can I give you an example?
Yeah.
I was driving home from work, just listening to the radio, and there was a song by Akon and Flo Rida came on called "Who Dat Girl," and it's very sexual in nature, actually quite pornographic. And so my heart was heavy. And so I walked into my house, and my son was 8 at the time, and I just said to him, I said, "Hey Peyton, buddy, have you ever heard the song Who Dat Girl?" And he goes, "Yup." I was like, "Oh." And so from one of his friends at school, had his iPod, had the song, and he listened to it. I said, "Buddy, do you know what that song's about?" "Nope." Good. Well, let's do some teaching, actually. And so what we did is we actually sat down, we walked through the lyrics, and I just said, "Buddy, what do you think Jesus thinks about this?" Process why Jesus didn't think that was great. I said, "What do you think Jesus thinks is really good about our sex and sexuality?" So even at this age, right, because these are the messages that are coming, we're trying to create a good theological lens for him and understand that it is what God's plan is really, really good. And so then to be able to say to him, go, "Okay, buddy, how do you think what should we do with this? Is this something we should be listening to?" "I don't think so, Dad." "And why not?" "Well, it's not good. Not just it's not right, it's not good," right? So we're trying to teach him discernment, because the reality is he's going to be at his friends, he's going to be at school, and I got to tell you, the other day, we just had one of those moments where he came across some really inappropriate stuff, and he immediately X'd out, told his parents, and then we were able to speak again about God's good plan, why it's good, and how he should journey. And we're seeing, right now we're seeing him make some good decisions. He's going to make plenty of bad ones. He's seen his dad make plenty of bad ones. Like that, we're depraved, he's depraved, I get that. But there's a journey of holiness that's happening in his life. And I think, near as I can tell, the best way to do it is appropriate isolation at certain ages, but better is teaching discernment and teaching him as God's design so he can make good decisions as he goes. And that he has the wisdom to say, "You know what, I hear what you're telling me, and you say it's good, but boy, it doesn't measure up." And I actually believe there's a better plan. And if I can, that to me is the great hope, that the Holy Spirit will use his word to change and transform, not just not just his actions, but his mind, right? So being transformed by the renewing of the mind, so that he can test and approve what God's will is good, please him. So he sees God's will as good, not just right, but good, as his word begins to transform and change his mind. I love that's the dream.